American gangster film The Godfather Part II was released in 1974, 2 years after The Godfather, which was adapted from Mario Puzo's 1969 novel. In the years since its release, the film has gained the reputation of being a rare sequel that equals or perhaps surpasses the original. The part of the film dealing with Vito Corleone's rise to become the don of his own crime family was adapted from the novel The Godfather. The parallel storyline, which is about Michael's journey as the boss of Corleone family, wasn't in the book. The first movie ends with Michael Corleone killing the New York's biggest crime family's bosses simultaneously and consolidating his power as the boss of bosses while he's at the baptism ceremony for his nephew, which is Carlo Rizzi's son. By the way, Michael's nephew in this scene was played by Coppola's infant daughter, Sofia Coppola. Michael becomes the godfather of his sister Connie's son at the baptism and the boss of New York via the killing of family bosses. That's why this scene is called the baptism of fire or baptism by blood. In The Godfather Part II, we see how Michael runs his business in Las Vegas and tries to legitimize his business working with corrupt politicians. Let's look at the 25 facts of The Godfather Part II. 1. Coppola, the director. After bad experiences directing the first film, Coppola originally sought Martin Scorsese to direct the sequel after seeing Mean Streets. Eventually, under pressure from Paramount, Coppola directed, but was also given the other incentives such as the larger budget and the chance to make The Conversation in the same year. Unlike with the first film, Coppola acquired almost complete control over production. In his commentary, Coppola says this resulted in a shoot that ran very smoothly despite multiple locations and 2 narratives running parallel within one film. 2. Flashbacks and timelines. The Godfather Part II is known for its parallel storytelling, showing both the rise of young Vito Corleone and the decline of his son Michael's empire. This dual narrative approach was quite innovative for its time. However, the test screening of the film went badly. The audience found cutting back and forth between Michael and young Vito confusing and bothersome. Francis Ford Coppola and his editors decided to decrease the frequency of the transitions in order to make the parallel stories easier to follow. 3. Movie title. Mario Puzo started writing a script for a sequel in December 1971, before The Godfather was even released. Its initial title was The Death of Michael Corleone, but Coppola insisted on his decision to make this the first major motion picture to use Part 2. Paramount initially opposed because they believed the audience wouldn't be interested in an addition to a story they had already seen. But the director got what he wanted, and the film's success began the common practice of numbered sequels. Coppola's idea for the sequel would be to juxtapose the ascension of the family under Vito Corleone with the decline of the family under his son Michael. Coppola explains this idea as follows. I'd always wanted to write a screenplay that told the story of a father and a son at the same age. They were both in their 30s and I would integrate the 2 stories in order not to merely make Godfather 1 over again. I gave Godfather 2 this double structure by extending the story in both the past and in the present. 4. Commercial success. The Godfather Part 2 didn't surpass the original commercially, but it was very successful nonetheless, with a $193 million gross on a $13 million budget. For Paramount, it was their highest grossing film of 1974 and was the 5th highest grossing picture in the US that year. 5. Al Pacino refused to play at first. Production nearly ended before it began, when Pacino's lawyers told Coppola that Al had grave misgivings with the script and he wasn't coming. Coppola spent an entire night rewriting it before giving it to Al Pacino for his review. Al Pacino approved and the production went forward, but troubles didn't end. Pacino frequently complained about Coppola's slow shooting pace and threatened to quit, yelling, "Even Serpico only took 19 days." 6. Al Pacino earned well. Al Pacino was paid $500,000 plus a 10% share of the profits for this film. He had earned $25,000 for the first film 2 years earlier. 7. Robert De Niro performed in Sicilian. Robert De Niro, whose dialogue in the film was almost entirely in the Sicilian dialect, was the second actor to win the Oscar for playing Don Vito Corleone.
Marlon Brando in The Godfather.
Robert De Niro in The Godfather.
And the second person who was not present at the ceremony.
I thank you on his behalf.
Robert De Niro is one of only 8 actors to win Academy Awards for a role primarily in a language other than English. 8. Marlon Brando refused to take part. Marlon Brando initially agreed to return for the birthday flashback sequence, but the actor, feeling mistreated by the board at Paramount, failed to show up for the single day's shooting.
That I cannot do.
Coppola rewrote the scene that same day. 9. Leave Clemenza, take Pentangeli. Richard Castellano, who portrayed Peter Clemenza in the first film, also declined to return, as he and the producers couldn't reach an agreement on his demands that he be allowed to write the character's dialogue in the film. Clemenza's role was subsequently filled by Frank Pentangeli, who received an Oscar nomination for the performance. Originally, it was supposed to be Clemenza who agrees to testify against the Corleones. According to Coppola, Castellano, who was the highest paid actor in The Godfather, wanted to write his own lines and wanted a large salary increase. 10. Heart attack or murder. Fredo mentions that Peter Clemenza died of a heart attack, but Corleone hitman Willie Sissi claims that Clemenza didn't die of heart attack, implying that Clemenza may have died under suspicious circumstances. Richard Castellano, who played Clemenza, died of a heart attack at the age of 55 in 1988. 11. Uncle Jr. was in The Godfather Part II. Dominic Chianese, well known for his role as Uncle Corrado Jr. Soprano in The Sopranos, played the role of Johnny Olla in his film debut. 12. Sonny's flashback scene. James Caan agreed to play the role of Sonny in the birthday flashback sequence, demanding to be paid the same amount he received for the entire previous film for the single scene in Part 2, which he received. 13. Tom Hagen's affair with Sonny's wife was cut. In an early draft of the script, Tom Hagen had an affair with Sonny's widow Sandra, causing some friction within the family. This plot was eventually cut from the script, though in the final cut, Michael still refers to Tom having a mistress. 14. Coppola appears in one scene. (15) Film's locations. Many of the locations used in the film were real places in New York and Sicily. For example, the scenes in Vito Corleone's hometown of Corleone were actually filmed in the Sicilian towns of Forza d'Agro and Savoca. The scenes that took place in Cuba were shot in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Political tensions between the US and Cuba at the time made filming there impossible. 16. Young Vito's arrival scene. When little Vito arrives at Ellis Island, he is marked with a circled X. Ellis Island immigrants were marked with this if the inspector believed the person had a mental or physical defect. 17. Coppola family. Coppola's son Giancarlo Coppola and Roman Coppola played extras in the baptism scene. Roman played young Sonny in Sicily in The Godfather Part II. His wife Eleanor Coppola is also in the baptism scene. 18. Hyman Roth. Lee Strasberg came out of retirement to play Hyman Roth after a specific request from Coppola's father and Al Pacino. Hyman Roth was based on the Jewish mob boss Meyer Lansky, who was an associate of Charles Lucky Luciano. After the premiere of Godfather Part II in 1974, Lansky phoned Strasberg and congratulated him on a good performance, but added that he could have made him more sympathetic. Actor Strasberg became ill during shooting, but instead of delaying production, Roth's character was rewritten to be an ailing old man. Director Elia Kazan was the first choice to play Hyman Roth, but he turned down the role. Kazan was spending so much time with his shirt off during conversation with Coppola that, when Lee Strasberg was hired for the role, Coppola insisted he play one scene topless. 19. Cuban Revolution. In December 1958, a mafia summit was held by Hyman Roth and Michael Corleone to divide Cuba's tourism sector revenues. This meeting scene was inspired by the 1946 Havana Conference, in which Charles Lucky Luciano, Meyer Lansky, and other Cosa Nostra leaders gathered in Hotel Nacional to settle the conflicts and to discuss important mob policies, rules, and business interests. Interesting thing is that Frank Sinatra was also the guest of this meeting, and the cover story for the Havana Conference was that the mobsters were attending a gala party to listen to Frank Sinatra. In the original book and movie Godfather, Sinatra was portrayed as Johnny Fontaine and his close ties with the mafia was displayed. Right after the New Year's Eve, the revolution broke out and many gangsters and American citizens fled Havana. Fidel Castro's guerrillas occupied Havana the next day. The revolution in Cuba costed mafia a fortune as the mafia had to leave hotel and casino business behind. 20. Kiss of Death. Those who already watched The Godfather Part II will certainly remember the scene when Michael gives his brother Fredo a kiss of death, saying, "I know, it was you, Fredo." The kiss of death, Il bacio della morte, is the sign given by a mafioso boss that signifies a member of the crime family would be executed, usually as a result of betrayal. Some believe it refers to the kiss of Judas, which was given to the Jesus to betray him to the soldiers seeking him out. 21. Fredo's fate. John Cazale, who played Fredo Corleone, appeared in only 5 feature films during his short career, and all 5 were nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture. Unfortunately, Cazale passed away from lung cancer shortly after the filming his final movie, The Deer Hunter, at the age of 42. 22. Funny locked door scene. The door to Vito Corleone's olive oil business was rigged so that it wouldn't open if a nail was inserted into the lock. Coppola kept this a secret from Leopoldo Trieste, who played Signor Roberto, and his difficulty in opening the door was real. Coppola wanted to film Trieste, a known Italian comedian, improvising his way through the scene. When Django Abandando opens the door, Frank Severo quickly pulls the nail out. 23. Young Vito Corleone. There was a much debate over whether Robert De Niro should grow a mustache for the scenes where young Vito is a few years older, but De Niro couldn't decide. In the end, De Niro tossed a coin. For the scenes where Vito returns to Sicily, he even gained weight and wore a smaller version of dental appliance Marlon Brando wore in the first film. 24. Gazzo got drunk during the lunch break. According to the Francis Ford Coppola in DVD commentary, Michael Gazzo gave such a great performance as Frankie Pentangeli in the rehearsal of the testimony scene that Coppola wanted to start filming it immediately, but everyone had to break for lunch. During the break, Gazzo got drunk and was unable to perform as well as he had in rehearsal. 25. Don Fanucci. The character of Don Fanucci, played by the Italian stage and film actor Gastone Moschin, was based on the early 20th century New York City Sicilian-American gangster and extortionist named Ignazio Lupo, whom the Italian-American community he terrorized called Lupo the Wolf. He was the Sicilian-American Black Hand leader in New York City. Black Hand Group was extorting money by sending threatening notes and Black Hand symbols to local merchants and rich people. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to our channel. More videos will come.